They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got 3 big old dicks that you can suck.
Thank you very much, sir.
Andy bought that like a
It's
month
zero
ago.
sugar root beer.
She bought that like a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't stop now. That tastes like fucking root beer. It's got stevia and
Yeah.
something else in it.
It's called Virgil's, everybody. Virgil's all natural, zero sugar root beer. They do not sponsor the podcast. Drew just likes them.
That's right.
My boys like root beer is their number one jam. Did you know that even like standard root beer don't have caffeine in it?
Yeah.
I always just assumed that
I
it
did
did
know
because it
that.
seems like it would to me.
Right.
But yeah, ever since we found that out, it's sort of been just
I did
open
know that.
season on root beers at our house for them. I
I
don't really fuck with any sodas.
I know more
but
about root beer than I should. Like I know what the roots are.
Also, by the way, Corey unfortunately has had a death in the family and is not with us this week. He's alive. He didn't die, but he's not with us here today. There's no show today. And Drew is only about 25-30% here because the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl yesterday, and he's half dead.
And because I was just talking to our producer Brendan about this. This is my first Super Bowl on this coast. Super Bowl ends at 8:30.
Hit so hard for me.
I get it, and I expected it to hit for me.
Yeah.
And it did last night because the Super Bowl was over. I was in a great mood because I've been a Chiefs fan since I was 8 years old. And then I partied.
Right. I mean, if the Titans had made it, and then, well, first of all, if the Titans had made it, I'd already told Katie I was flying back to Tennessee. I wasn't even going to watch it here. I was going to get a plane ticket and go home.
I was thinking about going to Miami.
But if I did end up out here while watching either the Titans or the Vols in a championship game or something like that, and then they won, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be in a hospital or a jail cell or nothing. It wouldn't be that bad, but like, I would cancel everything I had the next day because I would be too hungover to do fucking anything 100% without a doubt.
Well, I can't do this 100%. I skipped into the biscuit. If you guys have already listened to the episode or are about to listen to the other podcast, you'll note my absence. But, I mean, DJ talked to our producer, Kevin, and he told me all the shit they talked about. It was wild. Honestly,
Sure.
I think it's going to be a better episode.
Tell me, we were talking to Corey about this funeral situation and him not being able to be here, and we started texting, and there was some confusion among the ranks. It seems like
I think it's
either
mostly
it's semantics or y'all did funerals differently in Morgan County than we did in Clay County, and neither of us has ever done it any other way.
When someone passes where I'm from, everyone I've ever been to, they have what we call the funeral, but it's just a receiving of friends. But the reason they call it a funeral is because someone preaches. They have the funeral, what?
Like eulogies? The
Yes.
service?
Yes, the service
Yeah.
at night. That is
Okay.
when the town comes. Like,
yeah.
unless you're close to the family, you're not going to go to the burial, most likely.
Yes.
And that's always been a bigger deal, that first thing. Unless it's like your
yeah.
I mean, like,
All that is the same, but
what was the problem?
you said the funeral is at night, the burial's the next day, right?
Yeah.
That was the major difference because Corey had said that the funeral or something was tomorrow, which made you assume the burial was Wednesday, and thus we were going to have to cancel something Wednesday or something like that.
Yes,
and
that's exactly what
Corey
happened.
Corey's like, no, it's all because like what Corey said in Salina, literally every funeral I've ever been to, which has been mostly Salina, a little bit of Waynesboro, but it works the way you just said. It's just that the burial happens immediately following the funeral
At night?
like afternoon, evening, or during the day if it's a Saturday or Sunday or something.
So, but if it's on a Monday,
I think they still just do it, and people just leave work or whatever, or like, I mean, I can't remember the days of the week, but I know that we have in Salina. What works is you have visitation.
where's that at?
The funeral home, but there's no speaking.
Okay.
The corpse is on display. People bring food, whatever. People just come through to pay their respects, and the family is there. But like Corey was talking about being there and how he's got to be there for 8 hours and he can't leave. We always would like kind of handle it in shifts or something. Like we would almost never would all of us be there always the whole time.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. People come pay their respects. The family's there. That's for, it depends on the funeral and who's died or whatever, but that's for like a number of days, normally like 1 or 2 days. And that will be in like the afternoon, evening. It can go into the night, 8 or 9 o'clock at night or something. And it's just a set amount of time where the family is receiving people. But
friends.
there's no, we call it visitation. There's no speeches.
We call that the receiving of friends, but it's when the preacher talks and the eulogies are performed.
Nobody talks at those.
That's
and
wild.
then there's the funeral, which is like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody comes, extended friends and family. Anybody who's going to be there at all is there at the funeral. And,
Right before the burial.
And people talk. The preacher does his thing. There are eulogies given, dedications, songs are played, whatever, depending on the each individual person. And then as soon as that, literally the second that is over, everyone goes straight from there to the parking lot, gets in their cars, but it's still, like you said, it's not everyone. Only the close friends and family go get in their cars, line up behind the hearse, follow the hearse straight to the burial, and do the burial right then and there.
That all makes total sense
that's how
to me
everyone I've
based
ever
upon
had.
movies.
Yeah,
and the reason
I've never been to one that didn't work.
The reason
that way.
this conversation come up is because I was confused about Corey's schedule, and then it occurred to me as we were discussing things, and this is probably true of you, and it's probably almost true of Corey, although there might be 2 or 3. There's one funeral home company in Sunbright.
Salina also only has
and
one.
The owners, if I'm not mistaken...
We have either 1 or 2.
The owners, if I'm not mistaken, also run and own the one in Wartburg.
Yeah, the same thing.
And I ain't never been to one in Oakdale or Coalfield. That's too far out in the county for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
They ain't,
But yeah, I also realized that I've only ever been to one kind of funeral. Like my dad was cremated, and I've been to other ones where people were cremated or something. And the only difference is there just is no burial part.
Yeah.
Everything else works the same. That last step just doesn't occur, but everything else is the same.
Like, I guess what is blowing my mind about it, what you just said makes total sense to me because it's kind of what happens on a movie, and it's like, oh yeah, you have the funeral and then you bury the person. That makes total sense. But what my town does makes total sense to me in a lot of ways, more so because, let's say a patron, a real pillar of the community, excuse me, I almost said Patreon. A pillar of the community passes, everybody's going to go to the receiving of friends in the evening when they're off work and hear the speeches. That's always in the evening so people can do that. Is that technically a funeral? I don't know. Is
I wouldn't.
What is a funeral?
Again,
is the burial by definition?
What I have always called the funeral is the part where people talk. There's a preacher. Right. If you have that, people give eulogies, whatever else. The casket is there if there is a casket. That's the funeral, and then it's in my experience. That's the funeral, which is then immediately followed by the burial.
Right.
All that other stuff you described, we have always called visitation, and we have that too. But it's not. I wouldn't.
But no one speaks.
But no one talks. You said people talk at that.
Right. And
this is like it's like an open house with a dead body in it.
They
like,
have
it's
that.
Just a set of,
they have that for people who can't make it to the funeral.
Right. Yes.
But like they put the funeral at night, the day before the burial, so that more people can come. This is the definition of a funeral. The ceremony is honoring a dead person. So far, that covers both of what we're describing. This comma, though, typically involving burial or cremation. I guess we're atypical in Sunbright in many ways. But it makes, like I said, at a small town, it makes sense to me because if you have a funeral at 3 p.m, nobody can come.
People just would, hell, there wasn't no jobs anyway. Right. No, I agree with you about that part of it. I never even considered it at the time because it's just like you just...
If you were in school, brain's not sitting there.
Well, it's like if you were in school, you didn't go to school that day. If you had a job, you just did. If it was like a friend or family member, you just didn't go.
I like to imagine. So a big part of my town's history was that the Frillses and the Galloways, which was a combined family, Mary Power. They it was like they were such an important lumber family that back in the day they even like had scrip before that was illegal.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
I like to imagine that what happened is
that real boss man stuff.
Right,
there.
It's like in the 1930s. They were like, I'm tired of these motherfuckers laying out of work just because their dad died.
Yeah, right.
Start doing that at night. Goddamn it.
Probably, or I don't know about probably, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, if it's not too macabre for you guys, I'm curious. Tweet at us or whatever. Which you're more
How do
familiar
people die?
with. How do people be dying? Dude,
Where
I've wanted to
from?
do a funeral bit for probably 3 or 4 years. Fitzsimmons, when I was in Portland, he's got one, and it's so damn funny. Because, like, I get why we do it. A ceremony to honor the dead, but it's for
really
the
for the people that are alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But it's also strange.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of the ceremonies are old. They're from a time where superstition. And anyway, my favorite one was him making fun of people saying, "Oh, he looks so good."
Dude, that's so weird you say that because weren't we just talking to DJ? DJ was saying that exact thing, like on our podcast, or were we not on the? I know that DJ recently
was talking about motherfucker looks so good.
He, like basically verbatim what you just we were just like they always say it's like, oh, he looks so good. It's like, no the fuck he don't. I remember him looking like a goddamn clown corpse and fucking whatever, like a fucking from a CMT video. I don't remember what all he said, but I just vividly remember DJ going on a fucking diatribe about how much it pisses him off that people are always like, oh, he looks so good when they don't look nothing like that. I thought that was when he was on the podcast, but anyway, I don't know.
Well,
I was just
may have
that.
added that to Greg's bit because DJ did it and it was funny, or maybe obviously they both commented on that. I mean, Greg's was longer. He was talking about you standing in line and how weird that is. I don't know. It was great.
Awake.
I don't want to be.
Yeah, me neither. But that's a thing.
That's a Catholic thing, ain't it?
I don't know. We don't do them either. I just know that it's a thing.
I think that's.
And do they get drunk?
Catholics do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Generally speaking, yes.
Generally speaking, and at Awake.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But Awake is more like a party, isn't it? Or am I wrong about that?
Party to honor the dead.
Well, that hits.
Yeah. We
ought to do that. You know?
We
had a party at Thompson's house after my dad's funeral, but I wouldn't call it. And that's the reason we had.
I think
the
that's
party.
Awake.
Right. We just didn't call it that. Yeah. And the Wake normally comes beforehand, doesn't it?
I don't know. Did anyone tell stories?
I mean, everybody telling stories all night. Not in a formal, not in a like.
Yeah.
Hitting the wine glass. It wasn't no wine glasses.
Right.
Just drinking out of
jars,
boxes.
Yeah, I think that's what a wake is. And I will say, most everything I know about wakes comes from, I want to say, mostly Irish literature.
I know that the Irish fuck with them for sure.
But I mean, like Finnegan's
Wake, yeah.
And a lot of
Finnegan, he had a
there
big
was
wake.
a couple different James Joyce scenarios where there was wakes, and like I had to, you read those in like Lit.
But they was just dying all over the place
and drinking all
the time. Right. Yeah, well, hard to blame them.
You can be racist towards Irish still.
Yeah, they're still white.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are white.
They're actually now white for the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's new for them us as a people. The way I'm saying them, sitting over here, my beard's redder than this fucking microphone cover.
But yeah, no, we've Corey was saying the other day, I don't think on here about like which nationalities and stuff. It's still okay to stereotype or to make fun of or be like it ain't racist, but ethnicist, whatever the fucking word is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be
xenophobic about which ones are still accepted, and it's like it's pretty much it's literally just if they're white, like you know what I mean. Like Russians are fine, the Irish are fine, Italians are fine. Like fucking if like. And I'm not bitching, by the way. I don't want this to come across like I'm being like, how much bullshit is it that it's only okay to... That's not my point. I'm just making an observation. I mean, I think it's funny. Like, as long as they're white, you can make fun of that country and what they do and how they are.
There's a comedian I like. His name's Andrew Durso in New York. He tweeted something recently about, like, it was something like, love going to these woke Brooklyn shows where they're all doing the Italian accent.
Right.
You know... But then he followed it like in the same tweet. But then he said something like, "But I'm not even saying you're a hypocrite. Comedy's just fucking weird, man."
Yeah. Did you see the Super Bowl commercial? I tweeted about it where it's
the Boston accent.
Yeah,
ruled.
I liked it too. But it's like the whole commercial is just the whole entire commercial is just. Let's get these celebrities and make them talk like these fucking idiots from this place.
I'm pretty sure all of them are from near Boston.
They probably are.
I know Sherry O'Terry is.
That's Rachel Dratch.
Yeah, that's who I meant.
Yeah.
And I'm 99% sure that John
Krasinski
is.
I could buy
I don't know anything about
Chris Evans. I don't know where any of them are from either. But I kind of figured, I was like, I bet they're all from Boston. It's fine. Like, it was funny. It hit. But I'm just saying, like, the whole concept of it is just, let's just have them use that accent because it's hilarious.
Well, there's a very popular, almost like a meme joke before memes were a thing.
About cod, pop the cod,
and it's called Smart Park. Smart Park.
Yeah.
So I think
it's a
there's
car
like an extra
commercial,
thing.
so it right. Yes,
know?
I agree with you. But it's
Like
a
if
little
they were,
tenuous.
like if it was a car that had like a cousin fucking app, they'd have got us. To do
right.
it.
Well, that's what I tweeted. It was like, I appreciate Boston for taking the, isn't it hilarious that they sound the way they sound?
Yeah.
Heat off of us every once in a while, because it's like, it easily could have just been hillbillies. Like, you just have like
What
famous
I was
people.
trying to think of what the cousin fucking app
just
would
a
be.
truck.
I think
if
it's
it was
Facebook.
just a truck, like a truck
Yeah.
commercial, you know what I mean? Fucking everybody says
Hey,
that.
buddy.
You know what I mean?
Goddamn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Shovels and hammers and stuff. That's an actual line from an F-150 commercial. I know, because Thompson used to say it all the time because it cracked him up. It wasn't said in a southern accent, but it was just, how they had for a while there, and probably still, but for a while there, like every truck commercial was just like, trucks.
Yeah.
Men.
Yeah.
Men love trucks.
Yeah.
Like every single one.
And it was like Dennis O'Leary's
Dennis
voice.
Leary. Yeah, it was. And in one of those commercials, they literally have like a working man with a hard hat on. It's just like, again, he didn't have, I'm doing that fucking thing because he didn't have an old boy accent,
Yeah,
but I
just
cannot.
let it fly.
I cannot not do it in an old boy accent. He's standing with a hard hat on. And they're talking about the like built-in toolbox in the back or something. He's like, "Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's like, it's great for shovels and hammers and stuff.
Shovels and hammers and stuff.
Shovels and hammers and stuff.
Stuff I like.
Stuff I like, 'cause I'm a man." But anyway, yeah, if it was like that,
I'm trying to find something. But I think that I think we're always going to be fair game.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. I'm okay with it.
I used to do that bit about how I the same thing, and I would be like, why is that, you think? And what I landed on was that, and I'm not saying I actually believe this, just like a funny theory. The reason we will always be fair game, no matter what, I think there's a few different reasons, but the ultimate one, why it will never change, is because in order for that to ever change, you have to give a shit.
What you have to ask people.
You
to
have to
change
ask
it.
people to. You have to tell people like, "Hey, just so you know, that's offensive, and we don't like that." And like rednecks are never, ever, ever, ever going to do that. You know what I mean? Like in the bit, it was just like rednecks just like, "Who's talking shit?" Everybody. Will you tell everybody to kiss my ass? And that's the end of it. Like, we're never going to ask for that treatment,
No.
which is fine.
It reminded me, and I can't find the picture quickly. I thought that I could. There was an ad, like a big ad campaign in New York. It was an apartment website. It wasn't apartments.com, but let's say it was apartments.com.
All right.
And the whole theme of the ad was, we're going to help you find whatever you need, and different people need different stuff. And it was cartoons, and it was like a dude and a woman who looked very jazzy, and he had like a horn, and find an apartment in the I don't know what the fuck. Then there was literal pig men.
Yeah.
In a pickup truck.
Yeah.
I think Mississippi was what they were searching for. They had like a jug of moonshine.
You were living there at the time,
Yeah.
right? I remember you sent that to like the group text. You took a picture of it and sent it to us.
And
but what was the? You said it was like, hey, if you're into jazz and hip shit, but like, who was that for?
If
you moved here from Mississippi?
No. It was a New York campaign, but it wasn't just for New York apartments.
Oh, okay.
It was if you
right.
want to live in Mississippi and you're a pig man.
Okay. All right.
The pig man of Mississippi.
Yeah, we got mud huts.
That's right. They know how to use the internet now.
Mudhuts.com.
Ever since Al Gore, the pig men know how to use the internet.
True.
So I don't know what
Literal
your problem
pig
is.
man.
Literal pig men
With a
playing the
jug.
fucking banjo jugs.
I miss Corey. Hey, when you go from
hold on, are you changing?
Yeah, I thought.
Well, what I
want
want to say is, and this relates to the Italian accent thing and the shitting on Irish people, and not doing it with you can't do a Chinese accent. I mean, you can, but like people are gonna be like, that's fucking weird and racist if a white guy's doing that, and blah blah blah. I think that my main, concern, problem with PC culture, here we go, white man coming in with a hot take. Not always, but sometimes it becomes just like a list of rules.
Yeah.
These are the 5 rules.
Right.
And that's not what being a good person is following 5 rules. Being a good person has to do with like empathizing with other people.
It's just the one rule, right? And it's
don't
made
be
of
an
gold.
asshole.
Yeah.
What's made of gold?
The rule?
The golden rule.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And I think that if there's a problem with it currently, there is a problem with it currently, and it's that it can be abused by people doing that. by going, that dude didn't follow the 5 rules, so let's pile on there, but like they're not employing any empathy, or vice versa. Well, this wasn't technically against the 5 rules.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but it's against the 1 rule. Like the Pigman thing. It's not on the list of rules.
Right.
Not making fun of Southerners for being cousin fucking idiots is not on the list of rules.
Right.
And as you just pointed out, it won't be because we're not trying to petition to get it on there. First of all, we fucking hate rules. We hate petitions, and we don't like the people who make them.
Exactly, yes.
I think I'm losing my train of thought, but God, I'm so hungover. But my main point is like, it kind of has become follow the rules instead of, well, this is all
instead
about
of
being
just using
decent.
common sense about what it
Being a
is.
decent person.
Does this seem fucked up to anybody? Instead of that, it's like, does it or does it not break one of these rules?
Because if you're being decent, if you're genuinely being a decent person, and you're not a complete idiot, you know why it's different to do a Chinese accent than it's an Italian a meatball, because it's like one's goofy, you know. And
it's an Italian a meatball. Yeah, that's
you
perfect.
know? And like, I'll be honest, I've heard jokes where people employ, you know, a foreign accent or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that was funny to me, and I kind of look around the room and everyone's laughing and no one's offended, and then there's other times where it's like, oh, this is the whole joke here is just that Chinese people don't know how to talk.
So,
you know what I mean? Like,
okay.
there's a huge difference in that.
I'm actually going to stick with this for a minute because I thought of 2 things. First of all, I want to ask you what you would do and like what the rules are. Except I know the answer for what you would do is just not play this game in the first place or be at this party. Probably. Let's say hypothetically you're at a party with a bunch of white people and like a very suburban type situation, and somebody starts playing that game. You know the game from Inglourious Bastards where you got a card on your head and it's like a person from history or a thing, and you can't.
And people tell you stuff. You ask them questions or something.
Well, this one's just the things on your head, and the person's like, you don't ask questions; they just describe it to you.
Okay.
But you can't say any of the words, right?
Right.
Well, so we're doing that.
I'm so excited.
And I had I picked the category like accents and impersonations, right? And so it's like Russian,
okay,
or Elvis,
right.
You know, either really, really famous people or just countries or whatever, or
really famous people or racism.
Yes, right.
Here we go.
So like I got.
I'd definitely play this game.
Okay, well,
I'd be terrible at it.
You could. There's a bunch of different categories.
Okay.
It's not all accents and shit. But I picked or I didn't pick. I got the person I was playing with, my partner. It said on their head Japanese. So what do you think I did? Also, there's a timer. You know, it's a time. You got 1 minute.
All right.
So what do you think?
God.
First of all, what would you do? What do you think I did? And like, how much anybody? No, I didn't do that. I didn't pull my eyes back.
Okay,
Thank God.
good.
But I immediately pantomimed a sword.
Okay, that ain't bad.
And went, oh!
Yeah.
And then they were just like, what? And I'm just doing it. I'm like, oh! Just over with a sword. You ain't got much time, Drew.
I know.
But you got to.
I think I
get
think
it
not doing the
across.
eyes
helps. That definitely
helps your cause.
Yeah, right.
Didn't help you win.
No.
That would have immediately
they
narrowed
got
it
it
down.
Yeah.
Just because of everyone knows the racist joke. Like, fuck, you know, whether or not it's fair or accurate. Just.
Right. But
go ahead.
The other thing, staying on Japan and Italians.
Yeah.
Like, I've always heard and read, I ain't been over. Have you been to China or Japan? I know you've been all over the world.
No,
okay.
And I was talking to Andy. I might go there for a World Cup or something, but like I'm not as interested.
I would love to
for
go
whatever
to
reason.
Japan. I'm not interested in China really, but Japan would help.
Yeah, I guess that's really how I feel.
But
China scares me.
But yeah, me too.
Too
But
many people.
Don't
hit.
I've always heard that they just don't have none of this over there and don't give a fuck about any of it or even pretend to. Remember, like, still to this day. And this is an old example, but they haven't this racism stereotyping type shit of other cultures. And the biggest, most prominent example.
They don't do it to other people?
No, they do it without. It's not even. It doesn't even occur to them. Like, you know what I mean?
Bad. Yeah, go ahead.
Like,
I can't
ever.
wait.
Well, I was just gonna say one of the most prominent pop culture icons of the past 30 years probably is a like hilariously caricatured Italian plumber created by Japanese people. You know, it's Mario. And like he still talks like that. They've never changed it. He's oh, it's to me. and no one has ever given a fuck, and they're never going to change it. But I know that's an old character, but I sent y'all in the group text recently a Pokemon, obviously devised in Japan, from a recent Pokemon edition, and it's like a Mexican Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
And, dude, he's got a fucking sombrero on.
Right.
He looks... Part of his caricature is being lazy.
What?
I swear to God, the Pokemon is if you read his character description, he's he just lounges by the fucking aquatic areas where you can find him, and he's got a sombrero on his head and shit. And it's that ain't old. Japan come up with that one within the past I don't know, it might have been 5 years or so at this point, but relatively recent history. And it's just they just don't give a fuck about none of that stuff.
That's wild. I was trying to find this tweet I saw where somebody had screen capped all the American names on this baseball game. This Japanese. It wasn't offensive, but
I was
it was
thinking
just
of
so
the lacrosse thing, but that sounds funny too.
It was so I can't find it. It wasn't offensive, but it was like Mangel Bernandez.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but I think they don't
things.
have any other. Japan, especially, extremely isolation. They literally only have themselves for the most part. So
I've read about China's economy essentially being where we were in the 50s. So maybe they're just where we were in the 50s in a lot of ways.
I guess I don't know. They just
2 stories. My friend Julian at a Halloween party I had in New York came as guy on vacation, but he had a sombrero. Julian's very Italian. And one of my friends thought that Julian was being racist because he came as a Mexican, even though he hadn't. He'd come as a guy on vacation, like an asshole on vacation wearing a sombrero. But Julian is dark, and the guy thought Julian had done brownface too, which is a kind of racist assumption. Not racist assumption, but you look at somebody and assume that they would not be. I don't know. It just was so hilarious to me, frankly, all of it.
It's a literally racist assumption. Meaning,
there's no way
you're making an assumption about someone's race,
right?
But not that you're
based
making
upon the color of their skin,
right? But not
they're lazy,
yeah, or something
He's
like
just
that.
Not that brown.
He's
naturally.
not that. That's not his race,
right?
That's a racist assumption you're making,
right?
Yeah,
it was
weird.
So funny to me.
Yeah.
You were talking about playing games at a party. Not a game, but you saw the picture of where I was at last night. It was a friend of a friend's parents who were pretty rich in the Hollywood Hills. We played the quarters game. You buy a square, and at the end of each quarter, there's a score.
Oh,
you get 3 and 4, and then the
yes.
Chiefs have 3. Yeah. So it's a game.
Charles, you know Charles.
Yeah.
He loves those.
I love them too. I bought 4. I didn't win. Before I tell the story real quick, I want everyone to know that Trey and I are very aware that the difference is that Italians are white and have been a part of white supremacy in the West. We're not idiots. And I'm not even saying that to get woke points. I'm saying that we're aware of why it's different to do that kind of, hey, it's me.
And again, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want that to change.
Right.
Please, God, don't change it to where we can't make fun of Italians or
right.
Frenchmen or Brits or whatever anymore. Because,
yeah, I think it's going to get to the point where accents are going to be fine as long as it serves the purpose of the joke, and the whole joke isn't, they can't talk.
Yeah, right.
You know? Anyway, we was doing that squares thing, and the host, it was a couple, a husband and a wife, but she won 2 quarters in a row. And my friend Megan said, well, she deserves it because they had put on this party. They had a bartender. The food spread was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So this lady won $200. And what Megan meant was, she probably recouped that $1,000 she spent on this. But she said, well, she deserves it. And it got kind of quiet. And I just looked around. And I go, yeah, because they have so little while we were right by their pool.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I offended their son.
Yeah, probably. How adult son or teen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's me and him were cool, but I think it annoyed him.
Yeah.
I'm at his house, but
shitting on it.
I wasn't shitting.
I'm
on
surprised that that's the most you did. I asked you if the Ravens were going to show up because you can really go in on the rich.
Well, they were self-made creatives. I mean, I'm sure they had help. Like so many self-made people. But they were sweet. They made a TV show about dancing, and anyway.
I was gonna switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, let's switch it up.
You skinny, you be working out and stuff. When you start eating well, and like keep it up. But I'm talking about at the beginning, like you start but you actually stick to it for a couple days or whatever.
Like a week.
Yeah, and eating stuff that is actually healthy all the time.
Yeah.
What's that do to your guts? Anything?
My guts change for the better when I do that stuff, but that's because I stopped drinking usually.
I mean, me too.
And
Not drinking is included in part.
And the
part.
drinking is like a big part of my gut situation
Me too.
issue. So it improves. I don't know if I ate well but drank what it would do.
Even at the very beginning, okay, first of all, you used to tell me for years, you were right. Well, I would talk about how terrible my guts were and all these gut problems, and you would be like, well, have you tried cutting out this or that? And I'm like, no. And you're like, have you literally tried anything to do anything about it? And I was just like, no, fuck that. No, don't hit. I'm telling you, it's just me. It ain't none of that.
Yeah.
Well, I have since found, but accidentally, like not through trying to
told
figure
you
that
when
out.
I told you that shit that I found mine accidentally.
But like it's booze, like but drinking, and not just beer or not just liquor. It don't matter. Like drinking alcohol is the number one thing that makes my stomach fucky. But back to the subject at hand, every time that I first switch gears into actually eating healthy for a little bit, eventually it does improve. But like at the very beginning,
it's a nightmare.
Yes, and I feel like it's my body being like, "Ugh,
don't hit.
What is this? It's green. What are you doing?
Yeah.
We like beige stuff. You know that.
Yeah.
Throw some more trash down in here. What are you making me work? This don't hit."
Andy
or
has
something
been
like that.
Vegetarian for 4 months now. Pescatarian is more an accurate description. She eats fish about once a week or shrimp. When I say she hasn't stopped farting for 4 months.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking like she'll adjust. And they're not super gross or anything, but like she doesn't stop farting. So I mean, it's a real thing, man.
Yeah. But like that's good though, right? Or like because it's supposed to be like
well, it's probably
all that's supposed to be good
of
for you.
It's probably bad, but the bad is that your guts is wrong and have been for so long that now this is your reality. You know what I mean? It's still good to eat healthy. It's still good for Andy to be vegetarian. I don't know. That's my theory.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all. That's that.
Okay.
I wondered. I ate some grilled chicken and a big ass bowl of spinach today.
And your guts is wrong?
Yeah, and so I was just wondering on the way over here if that was a common thing, because Katie said the same thing about herself like 2 days ago because she had gotten her shit together or whatever.
I can't be consistent enough with anything for me to even remember or know, though. Like, let's be honest.
Right.
I have been relatively sober. Last night was an exception, and Portland was an exception this entire year, and I'm going to continue to be. But I've been craving sugar, which I don't ever eat sugar, but because the booze is gone. And, buddy, let me tell you what, I went to Dunkin' Donuts. Not Dunkin' Donuts. Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, I know.
And when I got there, they said, "Do you want a sample?" And I did. So I said yes. And they gave me a whole glazed donut. And I ate a glazed donut.
Ain't that America?
While I was in line for my donuts.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on my donuts. I got the ring-filled cream, which is new.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting cream in the ring now, like stuffed crust pizza.
Uh-huh.
I ate that because that's what I got. I got Andy this cute little heart-shaped ones they was doing for Valentine's Day that are cream-filled that say cutie or whatever on it. And they had different kinds of cream you could put in there. And I got her cake batter because I thought that hit for her. I ate half of it on the way home. I justified it in my mind by saying she'll think it's adorable. Who wouldn't think it was cute to have a heart with a bite taken out of it?
You're saying that's because you have sobered up? You're like
so.
Your body is replacing that sugar in other ways.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I go on a little bit of a bender, which I haven't really done that in a while, but I used to stay doing that. When I would go on and not like, you know what I mean, not literally laying drunk all day every day, but just drinking every day in a row at nighttime for an extended period of time or something like that. Every time I do that, whenever I would first dry out, that first day or two of drying out, oh my God, dude, just hoovering. Well, like everything. But yes, sugar especially. But it was just like, and I've talked to other buddies of mine who were like big drinkers and had the same thing. And it's like your body's just becomes accustomed to a certain lifestyle,
Yeah.
and it don't care that you're murdering it with
We
that
have a-
lifestyle. It hits, so it wants more of that.
We
you
have
have to,
a mutual
you know,
friend. I won't say his name, but he was quitting drinking. I think he was deciding it had become a real problem for him, and he was doing that, eating candy all the time. And he told me that he had read, and people who had, recovered from alcoholism or whatever had told him, do it.
Yeah.
Eat the shit out of that candy.
Right.
Don't deny yourself anything. Get fat as hell for a few months.
Right.
And then
as
wean
long as
yourself
you
off of
actually kick it,
right.
you can worry about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, because, diabetes will kill you, but it won't break your mama's heart.
Right. I mean, it probably won't hit for her, but...
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, Trey, it's almost Super Tuesday. That's probably not... This isn't Super Tuesday. I'm fucking that up. What is the Iowa Tuesday called?
I don't
The
know.
Iowa caucus?
The Iowa caucus, what I always heard called.
That's tomorrow by the time this comes out.
Damn, that's tomorrow?
Uh-huh. We will know who won Iowa. Do you have any predictions?
Oh, Bernie.
That's what you think he's going to win Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I'm about 55% sure it'll be Bernie, and the other 45 thinks it'll be Biden.
Won't the impeachment verdict? Isn't that also coming very, very soon?
Yeah,
in the
I
next
think
couple
so.
of days, and the State of the Union is tomorrow night.
I didn't know the State of the Union was
It
tomorrow night,
is.
but that makes sense that they would plan it
Yeah,
on that night. You know what I mean?
that's just a lot
To,
of shit at
to-
once.
To gom up the,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Well, what? Now that we're on politics, the impeachment stuff. The Republicans voted to not allow evidence, right?
Yeah.
In their trial,
Yes.
which is seems weird, but really conservatives, they've never really needed evidence. It's just this is the opposite, because normally it's a black man who's then executed,
Right.
but
Yeah.
as opposed to being a president
Yeah.
who's allowed to walk free. But
Yeah, no,
evidence,
they're
evidence never really been a
They
big
have been
thing for them.
consistent on their feelings about
evidence.
Yeah.
Don't need it. Who needs it?
Yeah, who needs it?
Right. So I mean, but I don't know. On the one, basically, the way I feel about the whole thing is that the whole time we have always known
Well,
that they
that-
were never going to convict him, right? No matter what, we always knew that was
Well,
never
I
part of the
think-
bargain. So
I think
of course they're doing this shit,
right. Well, but I think fairly what they're getting at, and fairly what Dems are mad about, they wanted to put on the evidence for the political theater of it,
Mm-hmm.
and conservatives didn't want them to put on the evidence to avoid the political theater of it. What Lamar Alexander said, and I agree with the first half of his statement, even though I think they should have allowed the evidence because justice is a process, not a fucking outcome, and I've been saying that ever since I learned it firsthand. But he said, we know. He said it. In the articles of impeachment, there is no lie. The only question I had, and this is him talking, remaining was whether or not that was an impeachable offense, and I don't think it was.
Yeah.
Now, how he arrived at that conclusion, and again, saying that it's not an impeachable offense doesn't mean you don't think the president should be removed. It means you don't think it's even a question worth having a trial over. And I just don't understand that thought process.
But that's kind of becoming their official line, isn't it? On all this, they're
he did it.
Some of
He
them have
was
even
wrong.
said it was
was
wrong.
improper.
It was wrong. It was improper. He shouldn't have done that.
Impeachable offenses-
But it's not enough to remove him from office for, and that's what we're.
Impeachable offenses, I think, are treason, high crimes. It's probably not that. It might fit somehow under high crimes. I mean, I could argue it. But then, felony or misdemeanor, that you abuse the office while committing, and
Abuse the power, the office, whatever the
Yes.
powers of the office of the president
while committing a misdemeanor or felony.
Right. And how could you argue that?
I guess you could argue that while it was improper, it wasn't a crime, but it is.
But it is though. Yeah, right.
It's against election laws.
Yeah.
And that's a felony.
But again, they were never going to convict him, in my opinion, and we have known that the whole time. So voting him out or whatever has always been our only real recourse. I still think that it was the right thing to do to impeach him. I'm not saying that. That should have happened, but this was always going to be the outcome.
One thing I said we needed it for is we needed young stars
Yeah.
who could use the trial as a launching point to be, the future of the party. Adam Schiff is not that young, but we have gotten from him. I mean, he's done a decent job, and I think in the eyes of a lot of sort of centrist Democrats, he's crushed it. So we did get one rising star out of it. I mean, Schiff's been around a while, but I think he's really I think he's going to be one of the leaders of the party for the next 10 years because of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're probably right.
I would have liked to have had more of that, and I would have liked to have, it to be younger people and people who are more progressive, and frankly, some of those women that I like. But the four.
Side note, but it is political. I was just thinking, did you see? As far as I'm aware, it's real. I saw it all over the internet. They immediately fixed it, but I think it was real. You can't even fucking tell anymore. But the thing that Trump tweeted right after the Super Bowl, did you see that?
Kansas.
Yeah, about congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs. They made the state of Kansas and the whole country of America proud on a global stage or something like it. He first of all said Kansas, but he also implied that it was like like the Olympics or something, as opposed to just like they're all American team, like it's a wholly American league.
I do think that was real. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just he's so dumb.
He's pretty dumb.
He don't hit. This just in. But yeah, I thought of it because you said Schiff, and I also saw that tweet recently where he's like, silly Schiff, lying Nancy Pelosi, and the know-nothing Democrats are on the fake. Like every single noun, every one of them had these like multiple just junior high grade like insult nicknames attached to them. Like, and it's
but it works, man.
It just still blows my mind that's the president of the United States talking like that. Like, dude, the president of the WWE talking like that would make sense, but I don't even think he does. You know what I mean? like Vince McMahon comports himself, better in his capacity as president of the World Wrestling Entertainment.
Donald Trump has been on his network.
Yeah,
that's
getting
not
hit
by accident.
In the face with a bedpan by Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's not by accident. I mean, and I bring that up because, and I don't give Donald Trump any credit for this. I think he just kind of oafed into it. Like, I think that's just who he is.
Yeah.
People like that, dude.
I mean, clearly.
It's weird, but they do. Reality television was such a punchline for so long.
Yeah, but it was always raking it in, though.
It's the true American art form. It is absolutely what we have added to the lexicon of Western culture. Stand up and jazz.
Yeah, especially stand. I mean, jazz too, but I'm a comedian, so stand up.
I know.
Hard. I mean, go on.
But we are doing a lot of what he does, just ironically.
Yeah,
like he's as funny as most stand-ups. The reason that comedians try, and I'm not the first person to say this, is it's difficult to satirize someone so ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
We taught him that too. The sort of what's the word? Provocateur. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stand-up comics like that, man.
Yes. Go back to the reality TV thing for a second, though.
There's some good reality television out there.
I'm not saying there's not.
I wrote a sketch for Comedy Central that they rejected in spite of all my work on it. That was, and I'll just tell y'all what it was. The idea was we're going to lampoon 90 Day Fiancé, but it's going to be 90 Day Savior. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what 90 Day Fiancé is, there's a special
wild.
There's a special visa. Have we talked about this on here before?
No, but let's please do, because I watched it because of that sketch.
Me too.
It's wild.
It's really good television. It's undeniable.
So
the drama is all right. So,
it's hugely popular. I'm sure a lot of people know what we mean.
But if you don't,
ahead.
There's a special visa that people get for 90 days if you are going to marry someone from another country, which would make them a citizen here, which would entitle them to immigrate here.
Which is real.
That's
very all real.
Yeah. And this visa is essentially so you can plan for your wedding.
Yeah, right.
And then before the 90 days is up, you have to get married and then apply for the green card permanent stuff. Someone turned that into a show where the stakes were, plan for the wedding, but also make sure this is what you want to do. Because in the age that we live in, many people meet and hang out for a week in Jamaica and decide to get married, or they've met on the internet and only hung out in person 2 or 3 times. And so it's very legitimate. I mean, look, I totally get it. If I met someone on vacation or over the internet and I hung out with them a couple times and I really think I fell in love with them, but like I would want them to meet my family and to live with them for 30 or 60 days.
I've explained this premise to some people in person before, like people out here, you know, and they like who didn't otherwise know about it. When I start explaining it and I talk about the real thing that exists, I've had some of them be like, oh, really? Like, it's so, you know, us or whatever. It's like I don't know, just like the world we live in type of shit or whatever. But and I've always been, and I tell them this, like, oh, I mean, I think the program,
totally
the system, the way that works actually makes a ton of sense and is totally fine. It's just that it has been used as the foundation for this reality TV show.
It's also the only way you
ridiculous.
can't get married in America if you are in love with someone who's a citizen of another country, because the only way to get him here was to marry them.
Right.
You'd have to marry them somewhere else, and then bring them with you. So it
makes sense.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
What also makes sense is that the machine that is Hollywood has turned it into a game show.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason the show is so incredible is that the stakes are so unbelievably legitimately high on the one hand, whereas Road Rules, we're going to win $100,000, or Real World, what if a bunch of spoiled hot 20-year-olds all worked at a smoothie place together?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get fired. Who gives a fuck? You're on MTV and you're going to be famous for the next 5 years. These stakes are fucking real. You got people meeting kids.
Yeah.
You know, you got sisters and brothers saying, I don't like your new fucking fiance. You got people being like, I think this is a scam, and that's your family. There was one, this racist Cuban Meemaw was just, as soon as the girl got there, just started saying racist shit about Colombians. That was the whole episode. It was so fucking hilarious. She was such a bitch.
One of my number one takeaways from that show was that, because we were talking about Trump and
Well,
everything
real
a minute
quick,
ago.
on the other hand, you have all the other stuff that you need for great reality television. So you have real stakes, unlike the Real World and Road Rules. And then you have trashy people being trashy, and producers making them cry on purpose on camera. Sorry, go ahead.
One of my main takeaways from that show, and I only watched a couple episodes of it, but I mean, I agree with everything you just said, but was that all this Trump shit in 2020 and nothing hits and everything, all that aside, like, America is still the place to be for a lot of people, because like the episodes I saw, I understand that they're not all like this, they're different, but the episodes I saw, the foreigners were all the women. The women lived in other countries, the dudes were the Americans, right? And every single example they had, every one of them, the woman in the other country was from like Colombia or Russia or Bolivia or wherever, somewhere like that, and was like, I mean, just a smoke show, just a dime, like gorgeous girl who is like jumping through all these hoops and going through all this shit and everything, like dying to marry a jabroni.
Yeah.
Every single one of these dudes was a fucking jabroni from Cleveland or Salt Lake City or whatever, both which cities hit for me, but I'm just saying, just white-ass, dorky motherfuckers getting these, like, fucking supermodels, or, you know, or at least regular models, at least, because, like, and they're doing that because, like, that's how hard it hits to get into America and get citizenship and all that type of stuff. Like, that's what that says to me, and that's
very
that's
typical.
Wild.
I just want people to know it's not just that, just because, again, I think it's the best reality television show I've ever seen.
Right.
That's the base. That's probably 40% of
yeah,
what's happening.
I think I watched 2 or 3 episodes, but that held true for all of those.
There was a young couple he was a Mormon, and he's doing his Mormon shit in Russia, and fell in love with this girl and was like converting her to Mormon.
I saw that one, dude. That guy's a fucking lunatic. That the dude that was like the Mormon.
Is he real young?
Well, he was talking about how he's really worried when she comes over here and she's walking down the street, some guy might try to talk to her and he's going to lose his mind over it. And then some dude does talk to her and he gets really pissed off.
That
a Mormon dude from Utah with a Russian fiance.
But they were both young.
Yes.
And they fell, like, I think she just fell in love with that dude while they were hanging out in Russia.
That dude going to skin her.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that dude don't hit.
Yeah, he don't hit.
I remember that dude.
There was a Jamaican guy who was a lifeguard who fell in love with a blonde woman from Pennsylvania.
Oh, this guy sounds like he is.
Oh yeah, I mean he was gorgeous.
Yeah,
and I mean she was like,
what was she frumpy?
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm saying
it was a nice role reversal.
I'm saying it's like America, like on the global dating scale. just being American
There was-
is worth like 3 or 4 points or
Right.
whatever on the dating like attractiveness. However,
There
the fuck that works.
was
That's wild.
like a little Jewish princessy girl who had gone on Birthright and met a rich Israeli, and they were just fucking annoying. I
Yeah.
hated them so much. They just fought.
The 2 rich kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well. Yeah. You'll have that.
Anyway, what the fuck were we talking about?
You said
like we
that
have a reality.
television is the
is-
single greatest contribution
Not greatest.
of America.
No.
to-
It's not the greatest.
Okay,
It just
all right.
is our contribution. Like, this is what we are. This is what we've done. Donald Trump is not a mistake or an accident. I mean, it was a mistake to elect him. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, like, this is who we are.
It is, but we're also like, dude, we make all the best everything. Movies, TV shows, all that. We also are number one
We
in
do.
all of that, too.
We make great movies and great TV shows. And what are the number one movies and TV shows? What's, like, the most consumed?
yeah,
Is it Scorsese?
reality shit? No.
or is it
it's-
fucking reality television?
Yeah.
And goddamn Michael Bay blowing shit up. And there ain't nothing wrong with either of those. I genuinely enjoy 90 Day Fiancé.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, the sketch was 90 Day Saver. You had 90 days to decide whether or not to let Jesus into your heart.
Mm-hmm.
It was very funny.
It was fun. It's a great idea, too. I don't know if they just...
Well, it was based on your original idea that I guess we could also talk about because
Yeah.
Which
It admittedly was dated. I mean, I felt like when they
The
said
first
that, like,
idea
I got
was,
it.
yeah.
Because it literally was dated. It's an
Yeah.
idea I had like 7 years ago.
Right.
Called Catfish Jesus. It was when Catfish first came out. And it was-
another
you get
unbelievable show. What a
You-
great fucking
yeah,
show.
right. Yeah, it was. Did you see the documentary it was based on to begin with?
Yeah.
It's like unnerving and like a riveting watch. Like it's wild. But anyway, that like just getting Catfish, because also at the same time the movie and the show came out, Manti Te'o, who was a hugely high profile college football star,
Had a
fake girlfriend.
And it was like his cousin. who
That
did it
all
to him.
happened at the same time. So, like, catfishing, and the idea of catfishing was very in the zeitgeist. So I wanted to do a sketch about someone who gets catfished by Jesus. And it's basically the Jesus that they think they know. Jesus' dating profile, but Tinder didn't even exist yet, was
Right.
like, American Jesus. Blonde, blue-eyed, ripped, all that. And then when they met actual Jesus, he's this
Tinder did
Middle
exist.
Eastern, sandals-wearing fucking
Tinder
hippie
existed,
guy.
though, and I know
Yeah,
that
I don't remember.
just because I remember when I found out about Tinder. My friend John was single. He was one of my trial partners in Miami, and he got on Tinder and he showed it to me.
I'd say Miami was ahead of Knoxville on
Yeah.
the Tinder game.
So
where
he
I
shows
was
it
at.
to me, right? And I'm like, immediately, I go, "You're just shopping, like this is window shopping for booty."
Uh-huh.
He just showed me how you swipe, and I was like, "Man, I cannot believe I missed this. This
yeah.
is bullshit."
Tell me about it.
Okay, fast forward a week.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Bro, that one girl just showed up at my house." I was like, what happened? What do you mean?" He goes, "She's never been to my house, dude. She found out where I live somehow." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not upset that I missed this."
When those like early days of Tinder, it was literally just like openly and meant to be a like hookup app exclusively, right? Like,
I don't
like
know.
when I'm pretty sure like Bumble or whatever the fuck, whichever one came next was like, its whole thing was, no, this is like this is like Tinder but for actual relationships.
I know
whereas
that's
Tinder is
true.
just for fucking.
Right, I know that's true, but I don't think Tinder was necessarily trying to own that reality. I think Bumble was like, let's all be honest.
Yeah.
It's trash people who are just
No.
trying to get their DS.
I should be clear. Or when it first came out, I was like, I can't believe I missed this in my, back in my days
Right,
either.
that was my response.
But like, I don't envy it or like the thought of like Katie leaving me and me having to like wade
that?
into those
Oh my
waters now
God.
at like, oh my God, it like terrifies me, and also like just don't hit the like fuck that, like that would not hit for me. I'm gonna hire one of those blonde ladies they got in airplane
You get that
magazines.
money, yeah.
Those matchmaker people that
it's
just
just lunch.
yeah, right. yeah.
My
I'm
man,
gonna do
my
one
man
of
would be
those.
eating 5 lunches a day.
Yeah.
It's like, he's not even trying to find a soulmate.
No.
I just
just
like
like
these
lunch.
steaks.
I said it's just lunch, and I'm about that.
Quick caveat before I say this. This is not me. But I'm bringing it up because I could see it being me or any number of people. I bet a lot of people stay together just because the idea of being alone, first
Yeah.
of all, or trying to date so that you don't have to be alone is just so horrendous.
Yeah, no, it also is not me. That's not why I'm still with Katie. But separately, though, the idea of dating or having to date now and figure that out with how much everything has changed, how much I have changed, how differently I feel about everything, and just the whole game, everything about the game is just so much different than when I was playing. And the idea of having to figure all that out, man, fuck
Even
that.
if the game
Like,
was
that does
identical-
not hit for me.
Even if the game was identical, the fact that we're in our mid-30s
Yeah.
is, I think, where I'm just like, when you don't know who you are
Right.
in your 20s and
Right.
you're dating, you can go through all that shit. You have to have more patience. You don't even know it sucks.
I think maybe that part of it would be one of the things that maybe helps, because I'd like to think that in your 30s and 40s, if you're dating, it's mostly people who are also divorced and broken or whatever. So
Yeah, finish this sentence.
I think there's
They got their shit together?
No, there's less bullshit and less like they're more upfront. It's like, we're not going to do this, are we? Yeah, let's just not do this.
Right, but
Or it's like, well, if you
right,
want, we can
I
go back
agree.
and I can suck your dick and you can fuck my butt or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
And then we don't do
then,
this no more?
but then we'll never do this again, and we're both fine with that, and we could just say that, right? That
I
seems like
agree,
some
but
grown up
how
type shit.
many times could you go on a date, like
And-
go
and
through that
face
motion,
the
like,
reality
knowing
of
that. Yeah.
we're not doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hit. No, nothing about it would hit. I'm
Because
just
that's the other thing you have in your 20s that helps dating a lot is hope.
yeah, right, yeah,
A positive outlook about the possibilities of other people and your relationships with them.
yeah. Mm,
Oh, yeah.
no,
Because you're right. Like, I feel like if I had a date right now, there'd be a certain level of, like, I know what the fuck I want,
yeah.
and I'm not going to deal with any other stuff. And then I think after 3 months, I would be like, I'm going to have to loosen
Yeah,
up these
maybe,
rules a little
right,
bit.
maybe I
man.
don't know what I want.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well,
We got to go.
about that time. Yeah.
I wanted to say.
What'd you think of the halftime show?
Loved it.
It was fuego, right?
It was so great. I think I tweeted something like,
I liked it
knowing
too.
that it wasn't at all for me,
Yeah.
and it still hit that hard means to me. I mean, it's like a top 5 all time to me.
And
Sincerely,
Corey
and
took
by the
that
way,
screenshot of some Chickamauga person being like, I guess we should have expected this coming from Miami. And it's like, yeah, yeah, you should have.
yeah, you should have
And
expected
also,
something awesome.
that's why it's right, exactly. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it was super,
is that-
super Miami in a like hidden way.
I guess because of the show or the movie Hustlers, and then that's why J
so
Lo.
good.
That's why J Lo did the pole dance. That's the only thing
she
I could.
rocks in that movie.
That's the only thing I could give to those type of people. Without it, they're still stupid, but that's not racist. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like if you don't like pole dancing, I can't say you're being racist.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But every other complaint, it's just you're just being a racist.
yeah, yeah.
You're just like, this is offensive.
Too
It's
much
like,
Spanish.
What? What's offensive?
Yeah, right.
They dance different
Speak
in
another
other countries.
language in this country. I mean, yeah.
But I didn't even mean American or white when I say it clearly wasn't geared towards me. I meant male. Like, this is a male game. This is a male-dominated sport and fandom.
You don't think that halftime show was at all geared towards males?
I know what you mean, but, like, both of them had all-male backup dancers.
Yeah,
J-Lo's 50. She's hot, but she's 55.
I think it was for everybody.
I just
You know what I mean?
I don't
It
listen
was-
to their music is what I'm
I,
saying.
no, I agree with that. I tweeted something that was like, I'm not the one to judge this. And what I meant was because I don't listen to this music and don't know anything
but
about
it
it.
crushed.
But it crushed.
And
Yeah,
Shakira
right. I
crushed
agree.
me.
Yeah, it was great.
And every time I just happen to see Shakira music video, halftime show, I just fall in love all over again.
Have you ever seen Zootopia? It's a really, really awesome kids movie.
I have not, but I heard that she just dressed like her character from it.
Katie showed me that this morning. She does this whole thing that she plays a pop star that's a gazelle in Zootopia, and she has a concert in it. And in the concert, she's wearing literally the exact same outfit.
So
that movie's from like 4 years ago.
the only thing that we're running into right there with me is gazelles can't be pop stars. You ever seen a gazelle?
They make her like,
They're just dumb deer.
I know.
They're just like
should watch the
slightly
movie.
more elegant deer.
They really sell it.
Is she dumb?
I believe so. I can't
They're
remember.
dumb.
I can't remember.
Gazelles are dumb.
No, but that movie's like just dripping with social commentary about
heard
like
that.
the police state and racism and xenophobia and shit in a
I
fucking
love-
bunny rabbit who's a cop movie.
I
like,
love that shit.
Oh, dude, it's great. I took the boys to sit in the theater and I 100% liked it. I mean, it hit for them, but dude, I was like enthralled. I was like, this shit is brilliant.
When Rush Limbaugh, for example, he just got cancer. Fuck him.
That's
when people like him are like, they're putting this propaganda I'm doing Alex Jones into the kids movie. I'm like, hell yeah, that
Yeah, right.
rules.
Yeah, it's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's, I wanted to plug some things, I guess.
Okay.
Do you got anything coming out or coming up that you want to plug first or second?
I've got some things that I'm dreaming up right now that
I've been kind of
to...
wondering about that, what with everything going on, and I'm just curious about what's going on in Trey Crowder's world. Honestly, it's just
I've
that
got
I
some
only see you once a
things-
week now. When
Yeah,
I
I
used
got
to
some
see
things
you 7 times
bouncing
a week.
around up here. But I don't have anything that I'm like ready to like announce right now. And we're not back on the road again until March.
The
so
lovely
no, not really.
Andy and I are doing a new series. We'll have another video out tomorrow. It's couples you know, and it's just little character vignettes making fun of annoying or otherwise goofy couples. The first one we did is making fun of ourselves. We did the couple that moved to the city and is back home visiting, and we just made fun of all the annoying shit we say to our parents when we're back home about what they're feeding the kids and how they need to be living more sustainable lives.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's coming out tomorrow, no, I'm saying that to you, Trey, but this podcast will be out Wednesday, so it'll already be out. You can see our second installation where we flip the script and we're going the couple who never left their hometown, and I'm pretty proud of it. It's pretty damn funny.
It hits. Yeah.
So check that out and check out Into the Biscuit.
Yeah.
Go to wellreadcomedy.com, WELLRED comedy.com to check out our dates. We're going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina, New Orleans, Louisiana, Washington,
I
D.C.,
do have one thing
Atlanta.
that I could plug. I alone am going to be at Texas Lutheran University. So I don't know what to expect out of that. I mean, I expect it to hit, but it's just, I don't think I've done a straight up Christian college of any kind before.
I thought that one
I've
in
done
Arkansas
colleges.
was
That was a liberal.
Christian.
That's a liberal arts college.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, Texas Lutheran University on March 3rd, I believe it is.
Let me do these dates properly. Raleigh, March 12th, 14th. New Orleans, March 27th. Indianapolis, April 2nd through 4th. Washington, D.C., 16th and 19th of April. Atlanta, Georgia, April 25th. God damn it. We got a pop-up on my own website, and it's blocking me. Vancouver, May 8th. Seattle, Washington, May 9th. Minneapolis, Minnesota, as part of a comedy festival, June 20th. And then, yeah, that's it. That's all the dates we have right now. We got some more coming out. Wanted to let y'all know about that. Get those tickets, guys.
Yeah, come see us. All right, we'll see you next time. Keep the show in your thoughts, and I don't give a shit about your prayers. But anyway, we'll see you next time.
Skew!